So yeah, we're gonna do some nice gentle stretches today, nothing over the top. That said, I quite like the idea of introducing crow to our practice. So if you've done yoga before, you might have come across crow pose. It's a good one for wrist strength, um, but it's also a really key one in terms of balance and how your weight and how you use your body to create that balance rather than um, using momentum, which right now sounds a bit odd, and you're probably wondering what on earth crow pose is. Don't worry, it's something we can practice together, and we will be going through it quite slowly later on. Um, but it is quite an advanced pose, so if you're new to this, don't feel bad if it's something that you find quite challenging. Um, it's all about practicing and giving it a go and building up to the pose. So, like I said, we'll get to that. So, let's interlink our fingers. Take a deep breath in as we reach up. And as you breathe out, release the arms. So leaving the right hand rested on the mat. As we breathe in, take the left arm up. And as you breathe out, reaching over to the right, keeping the chest open, avoid the temptation to twist here. You're working to get a stretch down the left side. Next breath in, bring it up. And as you breathe out, place the hand on the mat. Breathing in, right arm up. And as you breathe out, reaching over to the left. Breathing in, arm up. And as you breathe out, rest it on the mat. So I don't know if you remember a couple of weeks ago, whatever it was, we did seated cat-cows, so we'll go into that now as well. So what we're doing with cat-cow is very similar, and if you remember last week I said about the breathing, so when your head comes to heart, you're breathing out. When your head is away from the heart, you're breathing in. So as we start with a breath in, really concave your back, raise your head up to the ceiling. And then as you breathe out, roll the shoulders over, arch the back, bring the chin to chest. Feel free to go at your pace for your breath. Really work through the spine. And then when you get to your out breath and you're arched your back, take your hands out in front of you. And we're going to slowly walk our hands forward into a seated forward fold. So if you've got quite tight hips, you might not be able to get that far down. But if you're a limber Lucy, you might have your forehead on the mat right now. Just go with whatever works for you. Don't have any judgment about how low you can get down. And then very slowly walking the hands back. And then let's just roll the shoulders back a couple of times. And roll them forward. And then we'll do a couple of scrunches, shoulder scrunches. So as we breathe in, bring the shoulders up to the ears. And as you breathe out, release the shoulders. So we'll just do a couple more. Okay, so we are not going to do sun salutation today. We're going to start things a little bit differently. So we're going to come round onto all fours. And we'll do some more cat-cows from this position. So we've started to warm up the spine and get our blood going. But now let's continue that process. So wrists below shoulders, knees below hips. So remember, breathing in, head and tailbone up. Get a nice deep breath, and then as you breathe out, arch the back, tuck the head, the tailbone under. And again, go at the pace of your breath here. And bring it back to neutral. Then we're going to go into, well, we're going to walk the cat, I believe it's called, which is always quite funny. So starting off to the right, so walk your hands around towards, so as if you're going back on yourself. Sorry, I'm kind of facing away from you, a bit rude. But hopefully you can get the gist of what we're doing. So it's a really nice stretch down the left side of your body. And then walking the hands back to centre. And then we'll take them over to the left side. And then walking back to centre. We'll go into what I like to call stick insect. So we'll start with the left leg extended, right arm. Stay nice and strong here, so you're really engaging your core to balance. And trying not to slouch down on that left shoulder. So really pushing yourself away from the floor. And bringing it back down to neutral, and then we'll do the other side. So right leg extended, left arm this time. And bringing it back down to centre. While we're here, we'll do some hippos because it's such a good one for the hips. So start with whichever knee you'd like. Nice big circles, work that hip socket. And reverse direction. And back to neutral. And then do the opposite knee. And reverse direction. And back to neutral. And then we're going to just sit back on our heels. We're going to go to extended child's pose. So walk your hands forward, spread your fingers nice and wide. Sitting back on your heels, forehead rested on the mat. Feel that stretch down your back. Nice deep breaths in and out here. Feel the diaphragm and your rib cage expanding on the in-breath. So if you remember last week from this position, leading from your hips, as you breathe in, bring the hips up, take the weight forward and over your hands, and then drop your hips to the floor. You're looking up to the ceiling. So you'll feel a little bit of a pinch in your lower back here. And then as you next breath out, leading from the hips again, take the weight back onto your heels. So go at the pace that works for your breath now. As you breathe in, bring the weight forward, head up to the ceiling. And as you breathe out, leading from your hips, taking the weight back. We'll do one more. So when you're back on your heels, we're going to spider walk our fingers over to the right side. Again, another lovely stretch down the left side of the body. So when you're over to a comfortable point, placing your left hand on fingertips to really deepen that stretch. And spider walk back to centre. And over to the left side. And this time, right hand on fingertips. And spider walk back to centre. Normally in person class, I like to look at people's spider fingers, spider walkies, but just have to assume you're doing good spider fingers at home. So really extend the fingers, increase that stretch. And then again, leading from the hips, we're going to take the weight up and we're going to go into downward dog. So tuck the toes under, raise the hips up to the ceiling, taking the weight evenly between your hands and your feet. And if you wish to, you can pedal those feet out. Feel that nice hamstring stretch down the back of your legs. So from here, we're going to take the right leg up to the ceiling, twist the hips and cock the leg over to the left. So you're stacking your right hip on top of your left. And to get the calf stretch, drawing that left heel down to the floor. Staying strong in your arms and your shoulders. And bringing that foot back down, give it another pedal out if you wish. And this time we'll do the other leg. So left leg goes up to the ceiling and then cock it over to the right. Drawing that right heel down to the floor for that calf stretch. Take nice breaths in and out through the nose. And bring that leg back down into downward dog. And then we're going to go into pigeon. So let's take the weight forward into plank. Might as well hold it for a moment while we're here. Nice and strong in those shoulders. Tailbone tucked under, abs drawn up. And then we'll start with the right leg. So right knee to right elbow. Cross the foot over and place the right knee just behind the right wrist. Placing the left knee on the floor, flatten the foot, extend the leg. And sitting nice and tall here. So you should feel a nice stretch through your right hip, through your glutes maybe. Or if you've got tight hip flexors, the left hip flexor might be tighter for you and you might feel it more there. But play around with your hip positioning, make sure they're pretty square, but play around with it so you get the stretch where you need it. And we'll slowly make our way down onto our elbows. So make sure you're not rolling your hips outwards or inwards. If you've got really tight hips and this is feeling quite painful, don't overdo it, but do focus on using the out breath just to relax yourself. So breathing's important because it's talking to your nervous system, and that's all about the fight or flight. So if your body's tense, it's in a kind of fighting mode and it will really put up resistance, where if you use the breath, what you're doing is communicating to your nervous system that it's okay and to relax and to ease into it. Obviously you can't overdo things and I don't encourage you to either. So if you feel comfortable enough, then extend the arms, place the forehead on the mat. Really get deeper into this stretch. We'll slowly bring it back to our elbows, back to our hands, sitting tall. We'll do the quad stretch, so some of you may struggle with this one, in which case stay where you are. Just push yourself up and back, you'll feel the stretch increase on your left hip flexor. But otherwise, if you can manage it, bending the left knee, hold the ankle on the outside. Some people find balance easier if they actually hold the ankle with their right arm. So make it work for you. And then release that foot, plant the hands down. We'll take the right leg up to the ceiling, give it a good stretch, give it a good shake even. And then back into downward dog, so a little bit more pedaling out here. Maybe you want to stay still and just observe the differences between your legs and your hips, how they feel right now. Then we'll do the other side, so bringing the weight forward again into plank. Let's hold plank just for a moment again. Might as well make the most of every opportunity. Keep working on our core. And then we'll take the left knee to left elbow, cross the foot over, plant the left knee behind the left wrist, right knee on the floor, extend that leg, sit nice and tall here. Again, just observe where you're feeling the stretch. And then we'll slowly make our way down to our elbows. So again, pay attention to your hip positioning. See if you're feeling it through your left hip and glutes. This is such a good stretch if you're a runner or a cyclist. Yeah, the hips take quite a pounding in those activities. Cyclists can suffer with sciatica or piriformis issues, and this is a godsend for that. So if you're a regular cyclist or runner, then I would wholly recommend doing this very regularly to prevent future injury issues. So again, if you're comfortable doing so, extend the arms, forehead on the mat. And coming back to our elbows, back to our hands, and this time bending the right knee and holding that ankle for the quad stretch. Some super bendy people take their hands over their head and can hold their ankle from behind. That's just unbelievable. It's amazing to see. So release the foot, plant the hands down. This time taking the left leg up to the ceiling. Give it a good shake. And again, pedal out here. We'll just make our way down onto our knees. Keep the toes tucked under. And we'll just gently sit back on our heels. Roll the shoulders back, interlink the hands behind your back. So, as I've said before, brilliant for a feet stretch, but also really good for opening up those shoulders as well. The amount of time we spend hunched over desks or handlebars or steering wheels, actually just drawing them back. And again, preventing any shoulder injuries. And then taking the weight forward, give those feet a little tap. And we're going to go into Cowface, well, Cowface arms anyway. So depending on your flexibility, you might need, I should have warned you at the start, a sock or if you've got like a strap or something like that, or even just a jumper, anything. You might not need it, but you might have done this before and you might know that you do need it. So it's this one, by the way. So we do both sides. So depending on your shoulder flexibility here, you might need something in your hand. So yeah, quickly grab something if you need it. Or you're about to discover if you do or don't. So I'll try and talk this through quite clearly if you haven't done it before. You can start in Vajrasana in diamond pose, but if this is uncomfortable on your knees, you can be up on your knees like this, or you can stand. So it doesn't matter. Just find a position that's going to work for you that you can hold for a little bit. So I'll just sit like this because I'm going to swivel around in a minute. So let's start with the right arm taken out to the side. So as you breathe in, take the arm out. And then as you breathe out, you're placing that hand as high as possible between your shoulder blades. So as high as you can go here. Then breathing in, take the left arm up And as you breathe out, you are aiming to interlink your fingers behind your back. So this is where, if there's quite a gap, you might need a sock or a strap or something like that. So if that's the case, have it in your left hand and then try and grab it with your right. Something to be conscious of is this is something that is really easy for people to overdo when you're getting into Cowface. So you're probably feeling the stretch on your right shoulder or your left, totally forgot the name of it. Anyway, this part. So yeah, don't overdo it. Try and aim at sort of 60-70% the first time. Yeah, if you overdo it, trust me, you'll feel it tomorrow, and that can be a little bit demoralizing or concerning. So try not to overdo it. Don't strain yourself too much. And then we'll release the arms, give them a shake. So you're probably feeling that right shoulder having worked a bit. So just be conscious of that. And if you feel it tomorrow, just remind yourself that actually maybe next time you need to just not go quite so full on with the stretch. So we'll balance it out to the other side. So left arm out as you breathe in. And then as you breathe out, placing that between your shoulder blades as high as you can. And then if you need something in your hand, breathing in, take the right arm up. Ooh, my knee's cracked. And as you breathe out, interlinking your fingers or holding the strap behind your back. Now, an interesting thing here is the majority of people find one side easier than the other. So if you needed a strap the first time, you might not need it this time, and vice versa. In all of the people I've taught yoga, and that's come up, we have not discovered why it is the way it is. It doesn't even seem to be related to whether you're right-handed or left-handed, or yeah. I haven't got to the bottom of that one yet, which I think is quite interesting, really, but it's just one of the quirks that we have, I suppose. So as I said, don't overstretch. You don't need to cause yourself any issues. And release the arms, give them a good shake. So really good for shoulder stretches there. Roll the shoulders, do what you need to do. Okay, so we're going to make our way down onto our backs now. So sliding round so that you are on your back, knees bent, feet and knees about hip width apart, and arms resting by your side. So we're going to go into half bridge. So this is the one where you need your heels close enough, so if you're reaching, you can just touch your heels with your fingertips. But then once you're happy with your feet position, just rest your arms by your side. Then as we breathe in, taking the hips up to the ceiling, rolling the weight back onto your shoulders here, and avoiding the temptation for your knees to kind of wander out. So you're trying to keep your knees in line with your hips. If you want to, you can interlink your fingers behind your back. Helps tuck your shoulders in a bit more and get a bit higher. But you're not using your hands to support yourself. This is about working your glutes and your thighs. So if you want to take it to the next level, take the right leg up to the ceiling. If that's too much for you, then just stay down in half bridge. And then placing that right leg on the floor. And then do the same with the left leg. So taking the left leg up to the ceiling, keeping those hips lifted. So you don't want to be doing this if you can't keep the hips up. And then placing the left leg down. And if you've got your hands interlinked, then just release them. Use them as a kind of break, but very slowly, vertebra by vertebra, roll down until your hips touch the floor. And when they do, hug it out in air releasing pose. So nose to knees. If you've got neck issues, then just leave your head rested on the floor. Remember, you can gently rock side to side for back massage. And then resting those feet back down on the floor, place your head on the floor as well. We'll take the arms 90 degrees out to the side, palms face down, and we'll window wiper our knees side to side. So gently side to side. No need to rush it. It's not heavy downpour. It's just a little bit of light drizzle. Help continue loosening the spine and the hips. And then coming back to neutral. And then we're going to do a bit of a core workout. So our abs, working our tummy muscles. So adjust your position. So you're tucking your tailbone under and your lower back is resting on the floor. So you don't want your lower back arched here. And this is a really key point for this move. The moment you find your lower back arching, it means your abs aren't strong enough to keep it going, and then your actual back muscles are doing a lot of the work. So that's your signal as to whether it's time to stop or take things a bit easier. So you can place your hands by your lower back if you want, if that's what you need to do. Otherwise, you can have them out to the side. So we're going to take our feet off the floor and have them at a kind of right angle. But again, this depends on your ab strength. So use this as your check-in right now. Is your lower back arching or not? If it is, you might want to bring the knees a bit closer to you. If it's not and you want to step it up a bit more, then take your feet further away. It's up to you. And then we're going to do the window wiper again. So taking the knees down towards the floor, but don't let the knees touch the floor. And then bring them back up to center using your abdominals. So you're not putting pressure on your arms to draw yourself up here. So over to the other side, almost onto the floor. Use the abs to bring it up, checking in with your lower back. And then over to the other side. Again, keep checking in with your lower back and have awareness of what your arms are doing through this. And then as you bring it back to center, we'll finish there. So hug it in again to a releasing pose. Give that back a good stretch. And then we're going to extend the arms and the legs, so full body stretch. Really stretch your arms, stretch your legs in opposite directions. Nice deep breaths in and out through the nose. And then resting your arms by your side. If you've got time for a relaxation, then feel free to continue to lay here and do Shavasana. So whichever form of meditation you'd like to do. That just allows you to quieten your mind and just connect with your body. But if you're out of time now, then just bend the knees, slowly roll onto your right side for a moment. And then when you're ready, very slowly bringing yourself into a seated position. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the class. A little bit slower, but good on the hips and good on the spine. Nice and steady start to the day. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, enjoy your week. See you next Wednesday.